Hello and welcome to Dating 101. Some quick tips. I am Lori Van. I am your host, you could say, for this virtual event. I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor with over 25 years of clinical experience working in a wide variety of locations and been full-time in my own private practice since 2008. I am here to provide some real world, practical, easily implementable tips, tools, techniques, insights to help you on your dating path. So during our time together, I'm going to cover a variety of insights, and hopefully that brings awareness. Hopefully it brings up some questions that we can then discuss during our meeting. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And as a note, uh, all of the slides, all of this information in the video is copyrighted. So I do request that you not copy, share it with other individuals. So this is part of a bigger presentation that is available. It's about 2 hours in duration that will be available through the Path to Happiness website within the next probably month or so. And of course, always have to have the legal disclaimers that I am not going to be providing any legal or financial advice to you during this presentation. And that, again, everything is copyrighted. And that coaching should never be in replacement of counseling, and that they are two different things. So I think it goes without saying that dating is a journey. And on that journey, you're going to have hills and valleys, twists and turns, highlights, lowlights. And yeah, you're going to have some mud holes along the way. But this is a key takeaway is you have control over the destination. And I want to repeat that. You have control over the destination of your counseling journey. You get to choose where it finally ends up going. Now, one of the very first things that needs to be established is what are the reasons for your dating? It's really, really critical to identify need versus want in dating. And so I want you to take a moment and just reflect on what do those two words mean to you when you hear need versus want? What's the difference? And so I want to give you a little bit of time to just, think about it and don't read too much ahead for the answers. But I'm hoping when you think need, it is a necessity. You can't live without it. I need air. I need water. I need physical safety. I need emotional safety. It's a have to. It's not a want. It's not a desire. It is a have to situation. And oftentimes, when our needs are not being met, we go into more emotionally based thinking. And we'll get a little bit more into that later on. But when we make emotionally based decisions, quite honestly, they rarely work out. Because when we are in the need, we are in survival mode. We oftentimes are not thinking many steps ahead. It's very immediate in nature. Oftentimes may feel like there's a threat. And because we are in survival brain, survival mode, we may settle to get that immediate satisfaction. And in dating, how this may connect is basically, are they walking, talking, breathing? Are they somewhat functioning? Obviously, that is terrible criteria to go on when you're thinking about dating someone. And this being another key takeaway is when we are in need mode, The need controls us. I want to repeat that and say that again, is that when you are in need mode, when you are doing emotionally based thinking, the need controls you. And when things outside of us control us, again, we are less likely to make good, healthy, sustainable decisions. Now, what about want? Well, wants are optional. They really are. I want to have a smoothie right now, but I'm not going to die without it. I want to be able to go on a Hawaiian vacation, but I'm not going to perish without it. My life will go on. So wants are optional. We desire them, and desiring something is okay as long as it doesn't interfere in our daily lives. But a want is not life or death. It is I take it or I leave it. It's as simple as that. When you want something, you are less likely to settle. And that's a key piece there of wants have choice. That if I like it, I'll do it. If I don't have to. But I don't have to settle. I have that freedom. You are in control. And that is really key. Wants are about you being in control, not another person, not a situation. It is about you staying in control. This again goes to one of those foundational principles that it really is important to learn how to be alone and to be okay with being alone. You need to be comfortable with yourself. You need to be comfortable hanging out with you. And there is really nothing that is more freeing and empowering. Notice the key word in there, power. You are empowered when you are able to be in control, when you are able to decide things with logically based thinking, not emotional. So there is nothing more freeing and empowering than learning to like your own company. So I want to stop and just let you have a moment there to just read that quote, to really take it in and to stop and reflect. Do you like being with yourself? And to really think about when was the last time you were okay just spending time with yourself. If it's been a while, I'm going to give you the challenge that I want you within the next week to try to just be by yourself, not activity filled, not trying to do things with lots of other people, but just finding activities you can do on your own. And you may ask, why is this important? Why does it matter? Well, this is the question. If you don't like spending time with yourself, then why would you think anyone else would like spending time with you? I know that might sting a little bit. May not like, what I just said there. And there may be some things that I say throughout our time together that you don't necessarily like and care for. But this is the difference between a coach and a friend. Is that coaches are going to be honest with you. And sometimes that honesty is not the things that you necessarily want to hear, but they are the things you need to hear. Notice the distinction there. Coaches and counselors, trained professionals, one, have the experience, have the knowledge base to be able to have that discernment, to have that wisdom, that have this educational foundation to be able to say, hey, this is the reality. This is the information to consider. And that, unlike friends, their job is not to sugarcoat things. See, when you are ready to change, when you are ready to have life be a little bit different than what it is currently, then you have to be willing to be open to feedback. And it may sting a little bit, but that is the only way you're going to grow. Is the only way you're going to change because you probably have a lot of yes people in your life. You probably have a lot of people, or at least a handful, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. But I want you to stop and reflect and go, and how has that been working for you? When we only surround ourselves with people that tell us what we want to hear and they are telling us what they think that we want to hear, is that really helpful? Is it helping you grow? Is it helping you reach your goals? So I go back to the statement that if you don't like being with yourself, then why would you think other people would like being around you? You've got to have that foundation first and foremost. You have to be comfortable with being alone because then you're more likely to make want decisions versus like decisions, or I should rather say, instead of making want decisions, making those need decisions. So here's the question of the, I guess, half hour, you could say, or 3/4 hour. Are you ready to date? And maybe the person that you started to date or have interest in, are they ready to date? And you go, well, I don't know. Well, first, I'll take you back to the previous two screens of, are you ready to date? Are you on the need or the want side? Same thing for them. Do you know which side they fall on? And then the next question is, can you enjoy your own company? And that applies to the person you're interested in as well. Do they enjoy their own company, or do they find it really difficult doing things by themselves? Now, there can be different reasons for that. Sometimes people are just extroverts and they just like doing a lot of social things, and that's well and good, but even extroverts still need downtime. They still need to be able to do things on their own. There are some that are codependent and they won't do things by themselves because they have anxiety over that. They worry what other people are going to think of them. I would caution you, either start dating if you're in that place or dating someone that's in that place, because that's a foundational issue. That's something that they need to address, of worrying more about what other people think versus what they think of themselves. Because guess what? That insecurity that person may have, it's going to come into the relationship and it's going to create some problems. So here are some guidelines. You know you are ready to date, or let's say you know that they are ready to date if there's closure on the past. And what I mean by that is that they aren't incessantly talking about their ex or exes. That when you think of your past relationship, you don't start to cry about it. When you think about the past relationship, or when you're on a date with a potential person, that they don't go into a 20-minute tirade about how evil and terrible their ex is. When they speak of their ex, you can experience the vivid, you experience just the anger, the negativity, just the like, ugh, just the hatred really that comes out. Or maybe you sense that they still miss that person. If they had it their way, they would still be with them. Yeah, all of those red flags, like waving, red flag. There has to be closure on the past in order to move on with the present and the future. It's not fair to get into a relationship if there is not closure on that past, because you are going to truck that damage, that luggage, that emotional baggage into the next relationship, and that's not fair to you or them. You know you are ready if you're able to acknowledge the mistakes that were made in the relationship. So here's the thing, no one's perfect. No one. No one currently on the earth right now is perfect. Every single individual is a flawed human being. And someone that cannot acknowledge their mistakes is someone that has a red flag on them. You cannot learn and do things better if you cannot acknowledge the mistakes that have taken place. And let's say a situation is someone cheated on you or cheated on, the person you're possibly dating. And they go, oh, well, obviously I didn't ask the person to cheat on me. And obviously that's all on them. They decide to cheat. Okay, yes, there's truth. That person made a decision to cheat. They have got to take responsibility for that. Yeah, it's highly unlikely someone put a weapon to their head and said, you have got to cheat. Not likely. So, yes, they must take ownership of that part. However, there are likely some things that happened along the way that either influenced their cheating. Maybe there had been a breakdown in communication. Maybe someone's been stonewalling. Someone's been playing the game of, well, you should just know what I'm thinking. Maybe it's that mind reading deal. Maybe it's not letting go of past hurts. There could be a whole lot of reasons that contributed. Again, here's a note. I said contributed, not caused, contributed to someone to make the decision to cheat. And the other part is you chose to be with that person. There may have been warning signs as you were dating them. There may have been some flags. Were you ignoring them? Were there people in your life saying like, hey, I'm getting this vibe, or hey, I saw this on social media, or hey, I see how you're changing with them and not a good way? There probably were some people or some things that happened along the way that were like, here's a little bit of a warning. If you willfully decided to ignore those, that's a mistake you made. And you have to acknowledge it so that you don't make it again. And again, I know that might be stepping on some toes, but that's what coaching is about. That's what healing is about, is that you have to be able to be, to be challenged in order to grow. The next one. This is related to the closure on the past piece, but in talking about your ex, talking about your previous relationship, do you have a physical reaction to it? Do you get panicky? Do you break out into tears or rage? Have some other kind of physiological reaction? Again, warning sign, not ready. Let's also talk about quality versus quantity. Now, some people are just wanting to date for the sake of dating, have fun. They want to make it an Olympic sport. And you know what? That's fine. They can do them and just have fun with it. But anyone that wants to do the dating for the Olympic sport part, you have got to be forthcoming for anyone that you date. That's being fair. If you're not interested in a relationship, you need to tell the individual up front, look, my goal of dating is to have fun. It's not to be exclusive. Marriage is not my end game. You got to be honest on that part. But the quality versus quantity in another, or to further elaborate on that, is that quality is where the want comes in, Quantity happens with the need. You want to be selective. You want someone that you're possibly dating to be selective. You are looking about the quality of the person and not how many people can I date. Now, some people are doing dating as a revenge situation of my ex has had an affair and now they're with that person. And so now I just want to date to get back at them, to get them to miss me, to regret their decision. Not a good strategy. It's just going to hurt you and it's going to hurt whomever you're dating, but it's just not playing fair. So always think quality and patience. It's highly unlikely that the first date you go on after a breakup is going to be the one. And I'll even put a note there. I don't know if there's the one. There's billions of people on this planet. And most likely throughout the entire world, there's probably several the ones. So don't get caught up in there's only one single individual out there for me. Because I mean, again, there are billions of people on this planet. So be patient. This is not a sprint. This may very well be a marathon. If you're looking for quality and you are looking for something that really has some legs to stand on, be patient. Don't rush it. Rushing is a needy thing. Think needy. No one likes a needy person. Needy is a huge turnoff for any quality individual. Needy people are going to attract other needy people, and guess where that's going to go? Nowhere good. People that have the needy, or even let's just go ahead and say maybe that desperate vibe, they will attract people that will take advantage of them. I have repeatedly seen it in clients over the decades. The clients that were on the need side, the clients that were, I need to have someone in my life, they attracted the wrong kind of people. It is like a homing beacon for unhealthy people to be taken advantage of. It's like a big old glaring target. And so people go, I don't know why I keep attracting the same people into my life. It's like, well, because we need to get back to the foundation. We need to not just look at that, say, boundaries assessment that you might have. We need to look at the Bill of Rights. We need to assess safe versus unsafe people. There's a lot of things we need to take a look at to clear that foundation, do some patchwork, get it healthy and smooth so that you can build a healthy relationship on top of it. Now, and can go into more of that, later on, whether in our individual meetings or in other virtuals that I offer. And finally, you are ready if time has passed. There is not a formula to this. There's different theories. So what I mean is that if the divorce papers were signed and dry on Monday, I'm going to encourage you not to go on a date on Friday. Enough time probably has not passed. You need to heal. You need to process what just happened. You need to be able to know with full confidence that you can make it through all those anniversary dates, all those significant dates that happen throughout the calendar year, to be able to be on your own and not have a crutch of a relationship. You need to have that kind of confidence in yourself, because when you have that kind of confidence, you attract a different quality person. It goes to healthy will attract healthy. And repeatedly, I can't even tell you how many thousands of individuals I've worked with over the decade and a half of being in this field, that quality people attract quality people. Healthy, safe people attract healthy, safe people. When people date out of need, out of desperation, out of, hey, I just want to get back on that horse, mistakes are made. People get hurt. And I will tell you, rebound dating does not work. And while you might have some friends and coworkers that are well meaning and say, you know what, best way to get over a relationship is get into a new one, is the absolute cruddiest advice that you will ever get. Not saying the people that gave it are cruddy. I'm saying the advice they are giving is cruddy. It does not work. It's a bunch of baloney. It it will hurt you. So you have got to let time pass to heal. Now, ratio, sometimes I've heard, 1 month off for every month that you were with them, or 1 month off for every year that you were with someone. I'm going to encourage that if you are married to someone, because marriage is a whole different level of psychological commitment versus dating someone. Even with cohabitating, there is a different psychological thing that goes with marriage versus cohabitation. But let's just say you were in a serious relationship, you were living with someone, you lived with them for, say, a year or more. Uh, Definitely, if you were married for multiple years, I'm really going to encourage you to take 1 year off. And the reason that I say 1 year, and other different dating professionals have made similar recommendations, is again, you need to be able to go through a year knowing that you are capable of doing it, that you make it through their birthday without them. You make it through your birthday without them. You make it through your anniversary without having someone fill in that gap. You make it through your first Christmas or holiday season, the first Valentine's, the first whatever those anniversary dates are. You need to be able to have closure on those and to have, again, that confidence that you were able to make it through and you feel better about yourself. And you know that, you know what? I'm not just doing the replacement situation when I start to date again. You should definitely wait if, again, you still get emotional. You try to avoid the hurt, those emotions through distraction dating. Uh, Again, rebounding doesn't work. Revenge dating doesn't work. Dating just for the sake of dating because I don't want to be home alone and then I have to, grieve maybe some of the things I lost. Not a not a good idea. Um, and again, avoid that, get back out there and lie. And most definitely, dear heavens, reassess the people in your life. If some of them tell them, you know what, you just need to go sleep with someone. Revenge sex. Yeah, that's the way to go. I can't even go on about how terrible of advice that is. It really needs to make you stop and wonder about the people in your life that would make those kind of recommendations. What's going on there with their character and their emotional health? So, yeah, don't just jump into bed with someone because you think it's going to help you get over your ex, because it won't. It will just leave damage in its wake. And already covered the revenge dating. Don't date to fill a void. Uh, and when you start to date and you're not ready to start to date, the first person you date, you might become a little needy. You might become a little overly attached to them. That can also be a warning sign if you've started to date someone and you know they're fairly recent of a relationship and they become like cling wrap. And that might look like they're texting you a lot. They always want to know, what are you doing? Who are you doing it with? Red flags, people. It's not just, they care, it's becoming maybe a little bit obsessive. It's, they become anxious when they don't know where you're at. They become anxious when you don't respond to their text message within 5 minutes. And sometimes that's when you also see the beginning traits of, is this a possessive relationship? I.e., is this going into a potential abuse situation? Where when you don't respond to their messages, do they become angry? Do they become aggressive in some manner? And big old warning sign, are they in a rush to commit? It's like, we've had 3 dates. I need to know, are we exclusive? Red flag. And again, before you even start to date someone, in your profile, in your conversations, just be clear. What is your intent behind dating? So, what's an example of a date where it was obvious that they were not over their ex? I want you to just stop and think about that. And I obviously I'm not asking you to share because this is a virtual situation. It's something if you want, you can share during our individual coaching time that we have. But it's helpful to take what we've just covered, and I want you to stop and think, how does it apply to you? How does it apply to someone that you know? Maybe you're like, Lori, I have got all of this. I am checking those boxes. I am not making those mistakes. I have closure. I have healed. Boom, boom, boom. I am absolutely in the want, not the need category. I've got it. And awesome for you. So, this is then you thinking of people in your life that maybe not checking those boxes, maybe are in that need side. So just take a moment and I just want you to think through and think about experiences and how some of the things that we've covered, how does that apply? And if you need to have more time on that, please feel free, stop the video right here, do a little journaling. That's great stuff to do. Now, some of the things that go into the coaching program that go into some of the longer dating videos is things like there's a handout that I call the Bill of Rights, and these are rights that every single person has. I've added some throughout the years, so right now it's at 28, and it's a really powerful exercise. It is. There are 2 handouts that have been the big game changers for people that have had a big old impact on their lives, not just in dating, but like all overall relationship kind of impact. Bill of Rights and the safe and unsafe people, those are the 2 that have the biggest impact. Uh, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes people have had to acknowledge some painful things about people in their lives, and maybe the impact they've had on them that hasn't been so great. But the Bill of Rights are the rights that every single person has, and they are all equal. It does not matter what your background is. The problem is that there are people that you may have encountered in your life that tell you the exact opposite, that tell you, well, no, you don't have that right. Who do you think you are? You you don't have that right to have your opinion. You don't have a right to share your feelings or to say how you feel. You don't have the right to change your mind. You don't have the right to make mistakes. I know that sounds sort of odd, but I tell you, I work with a whole lot of perfectionists. That's one of my expertise areas is perfectionism. And there are a lot of people out there that have taken in at some level that they don't have a right to make a mistake. Somehow they have to be perfect. There's another handout that I do provide individuals, and it's a journaling activity. It's basically a whole series of questions. Not that someone has to answer all of the questions, but it's the lessons learned. It's questions to ask before you move on to that next relationship. Because again, if you haven't processed that, there is a big risk that you might repeat those same mistakes. There's something that's very helpful, very empowering, obviously educational, to actually write down, to see it in black and white, your penmanship staring back at you at the lessons that you've learned and what you are going to do differently the next time. And there's an ideal person handout that I also have developed for individuals. It's a guideline. It's what I often say is you have the person you're dating meet the person list to match what you've written. You never ever make the list match the person you're dating. That's going to be a set yourself up for failure situation. You always want to be very clear of what your ideal person is, and that includes non-negotiables and the other areas that we address. And you make sure that person meets your list. Don't compromise on non-negotiables. And what can influence that list is the safe versus unsafe people handout. And that one, yeah, that, whew, that one can sting sometimes because it's looking at those traits and it's coming to grips with there may be people in your life that actually fall under that unsafe category. And now you have to decide what you're going to do about it. Are you going to set a boundary? And, conversely, there are going to be some people you go, wow, I have more safe people in my life than I realized. Now, to be fair, you have to do it on yourself. You have to be able to go, well, what traits on the unsafe side do I have? Because everyone has some. No one's perfect. We've all been guilty of doing some things on that unsafe side. But the big question is, can you admit to it? See, there are individuals I have encountered that they look at that unsafe side, and when they're asked, okay, and so what are some of the ones that you struggle with? They go, you know what? It's everybody else. Everyone else has those unsafe traits, but I'm fine. I'm perfect. I never gossip. I never judge people. And it's like, well, denial is an interesting place to go to. So, one of the things to go back to that ideal person is, again, reflecting on a lot of the things we've talked about. What traits are you looking for in a date? Do you have a non-negotiable list? And to clarify, what is a non-negotiable? It and for everyone it's different. So these are just examples. Some people would say a non-negotiable is the person has to be of a certain religious or spiritual background, that they need to have that in common. There is something to be said about being unequally yoked. If one person is a very spiritual individual, that their faith is important to them, dating someone that does not share that most likely is going to cause problems. Other non-negotiables that I think should be for everyone, frankly, is respect. You should absolutely expect that someone is respectful of you. Respect is a non-negotiable. Trust, I would say, should be on that list as well. If you can't trust someone, why are you dating them? You should be able to trust someone. And I'm not talking blind trust. I'm talking trust but verify, that they have proven themselves trustworthy. And you can't really fully know and trust someone unless you have been around them. You've gone through a lot of dates, you've built a relationship, you've gone through different experiences, and basically you vet them. And consistently, they are showing up. Consistently, their actions and words match. So critical on that one. Words are cheap. Actions tell the true character of a person. So those are examples of some non-negotiables. You probably can think of many others. And then The other things that you wanna consider, uh, these are just general tips to go with. Your date, significant other, that they don't expect you to be responsible for their feelings, their actions, to be their entertainment committee, but likewise, you have to make sure that you're not placing those expectations on someone you're dating. Your date, your significant other is not responsible for your feelings. Your feelings are 100% you. You've got to own them. Otherwise, you're giving your control to other people. Your actions, 100% your responsibility. Someone can influence your feelings, they can influence your actions, but you are the one that makes the choice to take the bait. You are the one that makes the choice what you're going to do, how you respond. And the entertainment committee, this goes back to, I think, that second slide that says you have to be comfortable being alone. You need to be your own entertainment committee. That's too much pressure to place on someone to be your entertainment all of the time. And healthy dating really does start with a healthy single life. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are the activities? What are the groups that you're involved with? Who are your friends? Those need to be in place. That is foundational work. So that when you start to date, it's an add-on, it's a bonus. It is not your entire life. It is not the end all be all. You already got that foundation in place, which I'm gonna tell you, without a shadow of the doubt, you want to attract someone that's a healthy individual. Healthy attracts healthy. Healthy people have their own hobbies, they have their own interests, they have their own friends, they have their own activities. They got their life going so that when they start to date, it's bonus. It's not the all or nothing. It also means they reduce the likelihood of becoming emotional cling wrap and where you become this like glob of just one person. That, whew, that can absolutely just make a relationship super unhealthy really quickly. So you don't want to go, well, I don't have any of these things in place. I'm sort of waiting for whomever I date to introduce me to their friends. I'm waiting whoever I date to introduce me to their activities and their groups. That's not a good game plan because then let's say you build your life around them and things aren't going well. How likely is it that you're going to break off that relationship? Is it gonna be hard or easy? Because if you have built your life around that person, and maybe you've given up your friends, interests, hobbies, etc., and you have just created your life with that person and their group and such, it's probable, it's highly likely, it's gonna be very challenging for you to get out of that relationship. The cost is gonna be a lot higher because then it's like, "Oh my gosh, then I lose my friends, I lose my activities, I lose my social group when I break off this relationship." And it is why a lot of people stay in relationships much longer than what they should, is because that mistake has been made. So these are hopefully some helpful tips, some insights, things to consider. I understand that some of them may not be popular opinion, but they are based on over 25 years of not just dating experience, because I haven't dated for 25 years, but it's not just the whole part of um, I read it in a book, or I'm an expert because this is what worked for me. Always be leery of individuals whose only experience is well, because it worked for me, now I think I'm an expert and I can help everyone else. There are a lot of coaches out there that's exactly what's going on. Stay away from them. You want someone that has a proven track record, someone that has experience, someone that has actual training to invest in. Your time is too valuable. Your life is too valuable to invest in someone that doesn't have experience and training and a proven track record. And so if you have questions about, well, what does that look like? What are some other vetting things that I need to do when I'm considering hiring a coach or maybe going to counseling? Email me, Lori@LoriBand.com. Absolutely. Please email me on that. And I'll be glad to answer those questions. Now, you may want to set up a quick consult to see how we might be able to collaborate, how I can help you reach your goals and find your path to happiness, whatever that may look like. And so definitely reach out to me on that. There are a lot of resources that are available that are free because everyone likes free or low cost. And so I thank you for your time today of just, yeah, spending this about 45 minutes of just, yeah, stopping to think about where could you be in a month from now, a half year from now, a year from now with your life. And I would also say some of these things that were covered in today's virtual apply not just for dating. These are concepts that apply to every single relationship, friendship, family, work, and hopefully you do have some takeaways. So if you're ready to invest in your health, and save time and save energy and save money and save a lot of unneeded heartache and pain, then let's talk. Let's collaborate because I am here to serve. And I know that you can have a wonderful life ahead of you, and it doesn't have to be filled with heartache and a lot of twiddling your thumbs and feeling like, where do I go from here? So I'll look for you on the consult. Again, Lori@LoriBand.com. Let's chat.